excited to share this masterclass with you. I've been working so hard on it and I'm so pumped. Um, I think you're going to really enjoy this. So I'm just going to get straight to it, to the presentation, so that you don't have to look at my face too much longer. Forgive the sheer volume of tabs I have open. We'll hopefully be able to edit that. All right. So this is the Sustainable Nutrition Masterclass, and I am your host, Patrick Heyman, also known as the Mobility Dad. The goal of this presentation is to dispel some of the myths, is to clarify what it actually means to eat well, to be conscious about your nutrition, and make it semi attainable for parents because honestly, this stuff is complicated. This stuff is hard. And especially when you are just trying to get by with your kids, it's so hard to put this level of focus on your nutrition. So, I am intending to educate you on the order of priorities for weight loss, how much to eat and what to eat, the habit based approach and why that works better for parents, and how to track if you so choose. All right. A little bit about me. I'm 37 years old. I'm a dad of two amazing little boys. They are 4 and 7. I've been married to my wife for 10 years. We've been together for close to 17. I know 7 years is a long engagement, but I've been a trainer for over 9 years. I actually used to be a mechanical engineer. I have many, many, many certifications, but specifically in this realm, I am precision nutrition level 2. So I am a habit-based nutrition coach, not a dietitian. So if you feel like you need medical advice, seek it from a dietitian. I am happy to and can provide you with a lot of guidance and a lot of coaching in the realm of nutrition, but I cannot prescribe anything. All right. I'm a lifetime BMX rider. I have many, many injuries to prove it, and I absolutely love it. I still do it, maybe a little bit less aggressively than I used to. I am a lover of coffee. My first job in high school was Starbucks. I used to open on the weekends and then shut down a bike shop on that same Saturday. And I love languages. I love learning languages. I'm currently learning Tagalog, and I'm working on building my fluency in Spanish again. So, the order of importance when it comes to nutrition. So many people will major in the minors. They go to the absolute smallest possible detail and then try to make huge amounts of progress off of a tiny, tiny thing. And in all honesty, that's not how it works. All right. So the first thing we're going to go with Beast here, the original Mr. Beast. Please don't starve yourself. If you are trying to lose weight and you are struggling and you are feeling so frustrated and overwhelmed by this process, just know what you're going through is normal. It's okay to be overwhelmed by this. And you are not going to be able to take care of your children without roaring at them if you are starving yourself. You need to eat. So if the choice is between eating and not eating, please eat. Okay. Once you can, choose. Be a little mindful. Don't snack just mindlessly crushing a bag of Doritos or tortilla chips, whatever your favorite snack is. If you're feeling hungry, genuinely feeling hungry, try to grab something that has protein or pair it with protein. I personally, I mean, of course, I'm a trainer. I love protein shakes. I find my biggest advice for anybody who is looking for a protein shake is find one that you like the taste of that doesn't make you go to the bathroom after 30 seconds. All right. From there, you can worry about all the things that are in it. I have specific recommendations if you'd like them, but just be mindful. Choose your snacks carefully, which is part of why the habit in our Sustainable 60 challenge is eat protein every time you eat. Every time, even snacks. The Clean Plate Club is okay, so I will tell you one of my biggest pet peeves in the entire world is wasted food. As the person who goes out and buys and cooks all of the food that my family eats, I despise wasted food. However, it is not your job to clean your kid's plate with your fingers or your face. It's not. You can't clean up their plate and expect to be mindfully consuming the right amount of food. It just doesn't happen. And especially because sometimes your kids are eating things that are far more delicious than what we're eating. Um, and honestly, you pack it up. And if your kid um is not a leftover kid, like in terms of they won't eat leftovers, not, that sounded weird. Um, but if your kid refuses to eat leftovers, you can save some of it for the next day, work it into your own meal prep. You just, if you're full, don't pick off their plate. Then, once you have gone through these, then you can start building your plate. Be intentional about everything that is on your plate. That doesn't mean obsessive, that means intentional. Choosing what goes onto your plate. And I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that. We're looking at, of course, the big ones: protein, carbs, and fats. So when we look at portion sizing, one of the best things that we have gleaned as a tool is using palm portions. So if you look at your hand, you look at height, width, and thickness, that is one serving of protein. Now, if you are um, if you are trying to lose weight, I can tell you 1 to 2 palms at each meal is going to be a really good target to get there. Depending on how active you are, 2 palms of protein at each meal is going to feel like a lot of food. When you look at carbs, you're looking at a cupped hand. All right, not two cupped hands, a cupped hand. I know that's going to seem like very little, but that's about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates. And I'll give you exact examples of what kind of carbs I'm talking about, what kind of protein, all that stuff. Fats. We're looking at a thumb of fat. And look at your thumb. Your thumb's not that big. And there's a really good reason for the why our serving size of fats is so small, because they are incredibly calorie dense. All right. We'll get there. I'm going to show you exactly why that is. Not specifically down to the chemistry, but we'll explain it. And veggies. I know veggies are not their own macronutrient, but if you really, really focus on getting 6 to 8 fists of veggies every single day, you will be way more full than you've ever imagined, especially if you're just nailing your protein and nailing your veggies. Chances are you're going to be a lot more full and eating a lot more food than you think you are. This is what a full plate, with an asterisk, of course, looks like: a palm of protein, a fist of veggies, a cupped hand of carbs, and a thumb of fats. If you are building out your meal, typically, like a guy my size, um, I do basically two of everything at each meal. I personally don't eat as much fats. I've bumped them up a little bit for myself for my hormone health. Um, but I have to be intentional about eating fats because otherwise I will overconsume them. All right. The benefits of hand portions. All right. The hand portion, it's all in the hands. Hands are portable. They're with you everywhere, right? And hands are always going to be the same size that they are currently. I mean, as you grow, of course. And hands are proportional to you, right? This also works for your kids because, like, your stomach isn't as massive as you might imagine. And when you look at your palms, if you imagine eating 2 palms of protein, 2 fists of veggies, that's already a lot of food, right? And your palm is going to look different than your partner's palm. um the food scale is, it doesn't always, but it can lead to like an over obsession of the details, like, oh my gosh, I'm a gram over this and I'm a gram under that, and it just ends up being something that you um it's gotten out of control for people before. That doesn't mean everybody. I personally love using a food scale, but the hand is a really good tool to use when you're out and about, building awareness of portion sizing, whether you're at restaurants, out at parties. Um, don't stick your hand in the cake at a kid's birthday party. I've done it. It was weird. Okay, so we're getting into protein, the ever popular, ever politicized, I don't know, politicized, but um, protein. We know it's important. Not all foods are created equally. In a pinch or a restaurant, you can ride this whole wave. Not don't be afraid of anything that's on this list. Just use the guidelines, right? The eat more, eat some, eat less guidelines are intended to be exactly that. It's guide rails or guardrails, excuse me. Like you're driving down the highway, there's guardrails. If you veer one side or the other, it's something that's going to keep you in line. Or if you're using maybe lane line detectors are a better way to describe kind of modern technology. It keeps you in the lane on the road, making progress, right? Some of the things in the eat more column, fish, chicken, of course, duck, um, excuse me, bison, other meats. If you love goat, camel, horse, kangaroo, or crocodile, go for it. Plain Greek yogurt, 0% Faye is my go-to. I love Top Round, and I buy it at Costco because it's massive, and I cut it up real small and make tacos with it, and it's delicious. It is one though that if you try to cook it just like a plain steak, it's going to be a little tough because there's not really any fat in it. Um, and so you just got to be, careful with that one. Um, get your chicken thighs from the butcher counter because they tend to be cleaner and less fat than the ones off the shelf. And then if you buy chicken breast and you don't like when it's really dry, you can brine it overnight with 1.5% of like grams of salt by pound of chicken breast. So warm water or cold water, salt, let it sit in the fridge overnight, and it will be the juiciest chicken breast you've ever eaten. When we look at plant-based protein sources, tofu and tempeh are wonderful. They're great. Tempeh is a cultured tofu. Um, edamame, another really great source. Cottage cheese, a great source. When you look at lentils and beans, it's not that they're not great sources of protein, they're just also very high in carbohydrates. So when you are logging, it becomes a little bit more convoluted. All right. When we look in the eat some category, we're talking like 80 to 85% ground beef, um, minimally processed deli meats like lean turkey or lean chicken breast, the thing that really looks like the thing it came from, rather than the thing that looks like it's been, you know, bolognified. Seitan, tempeh bacon, um, textured vegetable proteins. Um, those we want to live in the eat some, so not all the time. Black bean burgers, veggie burgers, again, higher in carbohydrates, so you have to be considerate of both when you're consuming that. And then we put the like pepperonis, pepperoni sticks, hot dogs, processed meats, high fat meats, like eating out burgers are much, much higher in fat than a burger you make at home. Protein bars, high mercury fish, plant based meats, Beyond Meat, and all that stuff. There's ton, a ton of fats added to those to try to make them taste like meat. They are not inherently healthier because they are plant based. All right. That doesn't mean don't eat plant-based meat or don't, excuse me, that doesn't mean don't eat plant-based protein sources. That just means there are some that are more desirable and some that are more calorie dense that would be less conducive to weight loss. Let's put it that way, because that's our goal with this specific context. How much protein do you actually need? More than you think and more than you're currently eating. I'm sorry to tell you, you're probably not eating the amount of protein that you think you are. If you go to Google, it says something to the degree of if you are a sedentary individual, you could consume zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight to avoid deficiency, not to excel, not to feel like a fully fledged, fully capable human being, or even to lose weight. That is to not specifically waste away, like losing the muscle mass that you currently have. So, the average recommendation that you see generally online is like 1 gram per kilogram or a half a gram of protein per pound of body weight or per kilogram of body weight. You know, it fluctuates depending on who you Google and where you Google from. You can graduate up. Don't try to go to 1 gram per pound. I'm 220 pounds right now. If you are 165 pounds and you are currently eating 60 grams of protein and you try to get to 220 grams of protein or 160 grams of protein, your stomach is going to crush you. It's going to. You have to gradually get there. And then one big um, I personally love the 1 gram per pound of body weight as a goal for weight loss because you are going to be so full, you're not even going to think about snacking. And you're going to be eating more food than you realize or you ever imagined you'd be eating and still losing weight. This is the beautiful part about the gift of protein. And then there's one myth that still proliferates today that protein is bad for your kidneys. If you have healthy kidneys, there's no upper limit to the amount of protein you can consume. All right. I have gone through periods where I was eating 350 grams of protein. I mean, I know this is anecdotal and I know this is like an N of one experiment. 350 grams of protein, a huge percentage of that was red meat. And my blood work was better at this was 35 than it was at 24. All right. One and red meat is amazing. Lean red meat is a jam. Peanut butter is not a good source of protein. This is in giant bold letters because this is still when I ask my clients what does protein mean to them when they're new, of course. They tell me peanut butter. Almost always they tell me peanut butter. You are getting so many calories from the fats in peanut butter before you will ever reach 20 grams of protein. It is not a good source of it doesn't mean it doesn't have protein in it. It's just not like if we're gonna do the math for weight loss and you have only a certain number of calories to consume in the day, peanut butter is not where I want to spend those calories. All right. When I'm out and about and I know I'm not gonna have like the best options, I prepare Fairlife Core Power Shakes or my own protein powder if I'm just carrying it with me. Beef jerky. You can get low sugar beef jerky. Sodium's not the end of the world, but you can also get low sodium jerky, and it doesn't also have to be beef. Stay away from the Jack's Links meat sticks, the super processed ones. Just look at the macros. If you've got typically, I want to say it's 10 to 17 grams of protein per serving for jerky. If it's got more than 10 grams of fat in it, don't just buy a different product. And then if you're looking at bars, 20 grams of protein or more would be considered a high protein bar. You will be marketed many a bar that says high protein and it's like 6 grams of protein. Yo, that's not a good source of protein. I mean, we're talking protein. I'm not saying it's not a good bar. I'm not saying it's not a good product. It just ends up being what we'd call an energy bar rather than a protein bar. So you will find yourself eating it quickly. You will find yourself consuming more calories than you think you are. And the reality is, you're not going to be full from it, right? Because that's why we're making such a big deal about protein. Why is protein so important at all, right? Oh, I just muted myself accidentally. um, Protein is a building block for muscle mass. And obviously, we're in the fitness context, so that's the first thing I'm talking about. Muscle mass is anti aging. It is a thing that's going to do so much for you and your ability to interact with the world. It's going to protect your bones. It's going to help you protect your bone density because you're going to be producing more force, which gives your bones something to respond to, which helps them to continue to build osteoblasts, which are the cells that build bone. It's protective, both in the sense that if you were to fall, you can decelerate yourself and catch yourself so that you don't actively hurt yourself so badly. But it's also padding, like it's good, dense padding. Um, there's a story that I heard about why guys get so jacked when they go to prison. Um, and we don't need to go into that, but it's protective. It legitimately is protective. Um, it is expensive to maintain. Large amounts of muscle mass are expensive to maintain, and that they burn calories when you were at rest. It's not a huge amount, but it does add up. It also makes interacting with the world less energetically expensive. What I mean by that is if you're carrying your kids and carrying the car seat and carrying a backpack and trying to push the grocery cart, if you are if you have no muscle mass, you are going to be completely wiped by the end of that day. And I'm willing to bet a large percentage if you are wiped by the end of your day. When you have more muscle mass, all of those things require less of your energy because you are stronger, because you are more dense. You don't have to expend so much energy doing any of those things. You can still do them all, but you won't be as tired at the end of the day. So, this is where fitness and protein become huge for that. It fills you up more than any other macronutrient. And you'll see the word satiety or satiating everywhere on the internet. It really is very filling and in a wonderful possible way. Like when we're trying to lose weight, feeling hungry sucks. It's terrible. So the idea that you could be eating more and feeling fuller but still losing weight is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's expensive to digest. And I know that that sounds funny, but like you burn calories eating protein. You have to chew it, right? That burns calories. Once it breaks down in your stomach or it's breaking down in your stomach, it burns calories. And then the process of absorbing it from your colon, it continues to burn calories. Make sure you're eating enough fiber. It supports hormone health. It supports blood sugar regulation, as in one of the things that helps to prevent diabetes is being able to regulate your blood sugar, and your muscle is a huge percentage of that. It supports cellular repair, both post workout and post injury, and improves your immune function. Because if your body is robbing your muscle mass to try to sustain energy because you're under eating so badly, you are going to get sick. Okay. There's one, like, you can lose weight and you can lose fat. Most of us don't really want to just go down in the number on the scale. The number on the scale is important, but it's not what actually we want. Like, if you were to picture the version of you at the end of this weight loss journey, I'm willing to bet most of you, and I guess this is more a reflection of me. I should put this GIF on this slide. And anyway, um, my picture when I first started losing weight, because I was 240 pounds in not such a good way, um, about 12 and a half years ago now. Chris Evans, when he stepped out of the Captain America chamber, when I saw him, I was like, that's what I want to look like on the other side of this journey. Um, let's say physique loading. I'm excited about it, but we'll see. Okay, on to carbs. Carbohydrates are super, super important. And we are not on a mission to be perfect. We are on a mission to choose more carefully, more often, and be a little bit better each time. All right. Oh, actually, and there's this, whatever, I'll come back to it. But much like protein, there are 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. Protein is 4 calories per gram as well. My absolute favorite carbohydrates are white rice. I eat a ton of white rice. Cilantro lime rice from Chipotle. Oh my gosh, delicious. Purple sweet potatoes. I literally just steam them and eat them, and I love them so much. Fruit of all kinds. Like I fruit is something that we consume in a very, very high volume in our house. Greek yogurt. I love Greek yogurt, both protein and carbohydrates from that. I do have to take my lactate pills with it though. Potatoes. Potatoes are wonderful. They're very, very filling. Obviously, it's a baked potato, like just baking a potato is very different than the way a baked potato is served at restaurants. So just being aware of that. Something you may or may not know about me, I love the Great British Bake Off. That's my favorite show of all time. I love sitcoms and comedy and all that stuff, but I love the Great British Bake Off. So I love to bake. I love great bread. I just don't eat it as often. And when I do eat it, I make the best possible version of it. Um, But living in, again, that lane line detective, it doesn't mean don't ever eat candy with your kids. It doesn't mean don't ever eat crackers. I personally love Diet Coke, so I don't drink a lot of like calorie dense pop. Um, but like pastries, muffins, cakes, donuts. Listen, if you're on a weight loss journey, like I'm not gonna slap the food out of your hands because that's not what we're here for. But these are not helping you. Your latte from Starbucks with a ton of syrups and whipped cream, like that wouldn't with typically when I talk about this with a client, that's not the first thing I go for if it's something that they love more than anything in the world. But the chances are that down the road you will have to make a change on that. All right? It's unless you change absolutely every single thing about your diet so that so you can keep drinking the white chocolate mocha or whatever it is that you love and it gives you life every morning, fine. If you account for the cookie or the latte or the donut in everything that you eat throughout the rest of the day, they are your calories to spend. If you are still moving in the correct direction of your goals, it's up to you. You do you, boo boo. Carbs are not the reason you cannot lose weight, though. Shout out to anybody who actually knows what William Shatner is saying in this slide, but also carbs. Carbohydrates are essential to support life and energy. And that doesn't mean you cannot live without carbohydrates. There are plenty of keto folks who would tell you otherwise, but they are something that your body loves. It loves it because it's easy. Your brain loves to run on carbohydrates. It can run on ketones fine. I've done it. I know what it feels like. And yes, it feels great for a little while. And then when I introduced carbs again, I felt like Superman. Your muscles absolutely love carbohydrates. They are the number two consumer of carbohydrates in your body next to your brain. When you work out, you exhaust the stored carbohydrates in your body. When you replenish them, one, that's the pump. Also, when you drink water and eat a bunch of carbohydrates, you might weigh in a little bit more the next day. That's part of a little bit of a floof, totally fine, totally normal. Your muscles are the ultimate protection. I said this before, but your muscles are ultimate protection against diabetes. They are blood sugar regulation machines. So when you stimulate your muscles and you have good, healthy muscles, and we're not insulin resistant, so we're not making it very hard for our body to take up the carbohydrates, your muscles are a carb sponge. They just go and pull it out, keeping your blood sugar much more regulated. Carbohydrates are an easy source of energy. And when we are trying to do everything we possibly can for our kids, not everything has to be hard. It's okay to go easy sometimes, right? They are also the second easiest macronutrient to overconsume. The second, because they're in all of the delicious things. They're in all the things that are engineered to be consumed at high volumes. And they're not very satiating. Like if you ate an entire bowl of rice, like a massive bowl of rice, chances are you might be full for about 10, 20 minutes, and then you're going to be hungry again. On to fats, healthy fats. Again, we are not on a mission to be perfect. We want to be aware. Fats are more calorie dense than carbohydrates or protein. They are 9 calories per gram, right? So for every gram of fat you consume, it is 9 calories. That doesn't mean I want you to obsess over this. I just want you to be aware of the magnitude and why it's a thumb of fats versus a fist of fats, right? When we look at the eat more column, what do you notice? We see cheese, we see egg yolks, we see nuts and seeds, we see nut butters, we see fresh unprocessed coconut, which, oh my gosh, if you haven't had fresh coconut like scraped out from a coconut, it's one of the most delicious things in the world. Cheese aged over 6 months also has protein in it. Super cool. My favorites are olive oil, an aged cheddar cheese, cashews. I could overconsume cashews so easily, which is what I said earlier. I have to be cognizant of my fats because otherwise I will eat way, way, way too much of them, and then my stomach won't be happy. Peanut butter, amazing, delicious. I love peanut butter. Guacamole, easiest thing to eat, overeat in the world. Plus, guac is extra. Um, Fresh coconut, like I said, dark chocolate. Love a good dark chocolate. It also doesn't mean I don't love a chocolate bar, but if you have to choose and you are going to choose to eat something that both contributes to your goals and allows you to enjoy some sort of treat, dark chocolate is a good way of doing that. When we see the eat less, when we look at the corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil, hydrogenated oils, trans fats, shortening, it's less the oil itself and more what those are used for. So we'll get there on the next slide. But I love these guardrails. It's a really easy way to navigate when you're going up and down the grocery aisle. Bacon, sausage, even though they both have protein in them, they are much, much higher in fat, and you are getting more fat calories than you are protein calories. That's why they're on here and not on the other slide. Holy guacamole. Look at how cute that kid is. Ridiculous. Fat is essential for hormone health. It just, you need it to keep your hormones healthy for cellular health. It is one of the best things that you can possibly do to keep your body feeling good, right? They're very satiating. Like they keep you full. So if you pair protein with fats, like a reasonable amount of fats, you are going to be more full than you would if you just paired protein and carbohydrates and had no fats. Um, that being said, seed oils are not inherently worse for you than any other fats. There's recent studies that have said this, and I can share them with you if you'd like. The problem with any fat source is the foods that are typically produced with them. If you're eating a lot of French fries, chips, and donuts, and you're having trouble maintaining your weight, these foods are designed to be as delicious as physically possible, making it very easy to overconsume. I mean, even to the point where the more popular GLP-1 drugs are getting, the Ozempics, the tirzepatides, the Monjaros, food scientists are now working on ways to make foods that are essentially still easy to overconsume if you're on these drugs, right? That doesn't mean the seed oil is the thing that's doing it, right? It's the whole combination of the thing. Seed oils are cheap, and if you overuse them, then the fat content is like, or the omega-6 inflammatory compounds are a little bit higher. But like if you switched all of your donuts, chips, and French fries to beef tallow, and you consume the exact same amount of calories, it's not going to change your weight. Your blood work's not going to get that much better, and if it does, it's probably because you're eating a little less overall. Um, it's not the solution, right? Being mindful of what you're consuming is, and the amount that you're consuming is the solution. When I say carbs are the second easiest to overconsume, fats are the absolute 100% easiest macronutrient to overconsume. They are almost always paired with sugar or salt or carbohydrates or protein, like hot dogs, and they're delicious. They're in all of the most wonderful things. That doesn't mean there aren't fat-free delicious things too, but they're so calorie dense. It's far less likely to be the carbohydrates in the croissant. It's far more likely to be the butter because there is a gratuitous amount of butter in a croissant. However, and I'm saying it like that just because I want to be ridiculous. Um, Again, if you are budgeting for that croissant every single day and you are still continuing to lose weight and your blood work is good and all of that stuff, enjoy it. If that's the highlight of your entire day, let's build it into your plan so that you don't have to feel guilty about it because you shouldn't. If it's something that brings you so much joy, like this kid and guacamole, enjoy it. All right. Just be mindful of the other things that you're eating as a result. Veggies. Most of us do not get our 6 to 8 fists of veggies a day. We don't. I try, but I still don't most days. The likelihood that you're ever going to overconsume veggies is so low, except for that one dude who turned himself orange from eating too many carrots. And I'm pretty sure there might have been one other person who turned themselves red from eating too many tomatoes, which I know tomatoes are a fruit, but they're on here regardless. Um, Eat every single veggie you can get your hands on, every color. If there's a veggie that your kid liked, buy it until they don't like it anymore. My kids absolutely love carrots, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, roasted only, not steamed. Broccoli. My 7-year-old loves roasted kale, loves it. My 4-year-old loves celery and edamame. He calls it entomari beans, and I love it. I love the way he says that, and I will always give him many, many entomari beans. I personally love carrots, arugula, cauliflower. I eat so many onions and so much garlic every day. It's honestly a miracle I don't just reek of garlic and onions all the time. Vegetables are a big deal. Veggies for life. They're a great source of micronutrients and phytonutrients. So things that you're getting minerals and um, the different colors provide different phytonutrients. These are absolutely essential for our health. So the more veggies you eat, the better. The anti-nutrients that are present in veggies are absolutely 100% counteracted by the positive nutrients in your veggies. So eat your freaking veggies. I once worked with a trainer who um, was working with a guy who's in his 50s, and they were trying to get him to shift his perspective um, on vegetables and protein sources. And she goes, "Dino nuggies are not protein, and eat your veggies. Just grow up, eat your veggies." Honestly, I'm not here to judge you. I thought it was a funny story. Um, Pick the veggies that you like and then slowly explore. Personally, like I go through bags of baby carrots like it's my job. When I first started with a trainer when I was 25, like working with a trainer, he was snacking on a bag of sweet peppers and I looked at him like he had two heads. I was like, "Dude, you just snack on those?" And he goes, "Yep," and then crunches into it. And y'all, when I did that myself, like I was just sitting there and I had a bag of mini like sweet peppers, and I just grabbed one and bit into it. It was so crispy and sweet and delicious, and I was like, okay, it took me like 8 years, but I get it. Throw your veggies in smoothies. Frozen cauliflower and frozen spinach, you don't taste them, and they add a ton of texture to your smoothie. It makes them really filling. It's wonderful. Cooked veggies will have a different nutrient profile than raw. That doesn't mean they're worse or better. That doesn't mean you cooked off, I mean, unless you turned it into a charcoal briquette, but like a roasted veggie, roasted carrots, they might be slightly different in nutrient profile, but it releases some of the things that you otherwise wouldn't get by eating them raw. It makes them easier to digest, which is part of the reason we discovered cooking in the first place as human beings. Um, so enjoy it. If your kids like veggies a certain way, make them as often as you can. All right. When we talk about habit-based nutrition, so I've talked a lot about the small details, the ins and outs, the macronutrients, the micronutrients, all of the specific nitty-gritty. Now, this is how we turn it into something that's actually actionable for you. Right? I've given you a lot of why these things are important. This is how we get them into your face. Um, I know deli meats aren't perfect, right? The less processed, the better. But one of my clients, absolutely, the one you saw the quote from earlier, um, the way that she lost 15 pounds in preparation for her son's wedding. So obviously, she's an older client, but she lost 15 pounds in preparation for her son's wedding. And the biggest change she made to her diet was instead of snacking on nuts and crackers, she loves kale. She loves raw kale. She wraps it up with a little bit of deli meat and like crushes them. Drinking a protein. So this is me personally. I will, if there's a bag of chips, while I'm cooking dinner, I will munch on that bag of chips. So instead, I shake up protein and I munch on carrots because I like the munchy, crunchy part. So I munch on that while drinking my protein shake while I'm cooking dinner. One, it makes sure I hit my protein goal, but two, it just helps me to be, if I'm going to mindlessly consume, at least I'm mindlessly consuming something that's helping me. Buying pre-cooked meat. That sounds like the grossest possible way of saying get a rotisserie chicken. Kevin's pre-made chicken and beef, they're really great. They're like paleo sauces and stuff. When we were getting ready to move and we were just all over the place, we lived on those Kevin's pre-made meats. Because when you go to the grocery store, who wants to cook when they get home from the grocery store? You buy all these wonderful ingredients with these huge aspirations of cooking these incredible meals, and then you go, okay, well, what are we ordering? Right? That takes me to the next step. Recipes. Having three go-to recipes for each meal, whether it's overnight oats, like protein overnight oats, egg sandwiches, and protein pancakes for breakfast, right? Having your go-tos and using that every time you shop and make them until you get sick of them. And then you just try a new recipe. Maybe like one of my clients absolutely loved Friday nights, she would introduce a new recipe and they would try it and essentially convince their kids they're food scientists. Do we like this? What do we like about this? Is this something we want to make more? Is this something we want to build into our normal weekly rotation? Because if it is, let's keep going. If it's not, we'll never make it again. And make it so easy you can't fail. Like the recipes that you can throw together, crock pot, Instapot, air fryer, that you can just do mindlessly to make sure that you can stick to it, but that you actually like it. If you hate a recipe, don't choke it down. Don't make it again. I mean, eat it that night because we don't like wasted food. But you know, the solution to all of this is add habits, not restrictions. When I say add, I mean eat more. Eat more protein, more fruit, more veggies, more whole foods. When we look at habits, this is a very specific habit that one of my clients uses. I put my shaker cup and protein powder at eye level in the pantry. So it's the first thing I see when I open the pantry looking for a snack at 3 p.m. Because every day at 3 p.m., she wants a snack. If that protein powder is the first thing she sees, she grabs it. If she's looking at chips, chances are she's going to consume those chips, which takes me to the next thing, not restrictions. Don't make a list of all the things you can't do or cutting out because you will rebel against yourself. Much like our kids, if somebody tells us we can't do something, there is a 100% chance that we will do it eventually. We will think about it until we can't hold out any longer. I say that as somebody who does this. I have tried so many different ways to lose weight and maintain my health over the years. And I did the whole I never eat this. I never eat that. I don't eat sugar anymore. You know what? Sugar's delicious. It is. I just don't eat it as often as I used to. I have to like I love going for ice cream with my kids. If I said you can never have ice cream and I say that to myself, my kid goes, "Hey dad, can we go get some ice cream?" And I go, "I'm sorry, daddy doesn't eat ice cream anymore." How depressing is that shit? Build a habit of flexibility. This is, I think, Gigi Mufu. It's an old video of him, which is just nuts. That's not the kind of flexibility I'm talking about. I'm talking about the flexible habits. Oh, I didn't know I could collapse it like that. Cool. Um, so I gave there's three examples of flexible habits and three examples of a rigid version of that same habit. A flexible habit, I buy beef jerky and I keep it in the car because I know I'm going to snack when I drive the kids to school. Right? I know I'm going to be hungry, so having that means I can just pop it in my mouth, and I know that it's contributing to my goal. The rigid version of that is I eat 30 grams of protein by 8 a.m. or I've completely failed for the day. How likely are you to fail if you have to operate on that exact strategy every single day? Otherwise, you feel like a complete failure. Yo, that sucks. Don't do that. You know what though? if that's your jam, I would take issue with the I've completely failed for the day, less so about the I eat 30 grams of protein by 8 a.m. because I personally start my day with protein every day. And if I don't, my stomach sucks. So I feel for this person. But don't make it so critical that you feel like you're gonna fail. All right. Or that you give up having not hit the goal by 8 a.m. A flexible habit. I buy whatever protein is on sale and that my family enjoys every single time I go to the grocery store. Forgive the fact that I is not capitalized. A rigid habit of that is I only buy organic grass-fed bison that has been fed imported beer while being raised on the moon. Obviously, that's an over-exaggeration, hyperbole to the nth degree, but the fact remains like you got to do what's right for your family, and when there are people who rely on you and you're living on a budget and all of this stuff, like you got to get what you can get. So the best cleanest thing that you can buy, that's what you get. All right. The flexible habit. I cook extra at dinner and I pack it for breakfast and lunch the next day when I'm cleaning up for the night because I personally get up at 4:45 every morning. I am out of the house by 5:30. If I don't pack my food the night before or if I had any gripe about eating leftovers, I wouldn't have food to eat. The rigid version of that habit, and I've had clients say this to me, breakfast food is for breakfast. Chili is not an anytime food. Y'all, if you can eat cold pizza for breakfast, you can eat chicken from the night before. It's all right. If your stance on leftovers is whether or not it's delicious, y'all, you got to be a little bit more flexible than that. Sometimes you just got to put it in your face. Food, food. So, should I track my food? This is a question I get from clients very, very regularly. The short answer is yes. Um, if you can do it without it becoming a problem for you. If you can do it without becoming obsessive or stressed out by the act of logging your food, yes, please track your food because it's going to make everything easier. We have so much on our plates as parents, and we have to prioritize our energy. We have to be able to do what we can and move flexibly throughout our day to support our children in the best way possible. So, if tracking feels like it's going to provide freedom and structure and discipline and more awareness, please go for it. But if it becomes so massively overwhelming, for now, just don't. You don't have to worry about it. As long as you're being more conscious and more aware of what you're doing and you're trending in the right direction, we can layer in all of this stuff. None of this has to be done today. You just start with one thing at a time. Add habits slowly. So you've decided to track, right? These are some things, some common pitfalls that we can avoid right away if you decide to track your food. Buy a food scale to be precise, but not to obsess. Weigh your food. You can, if you're logging it in an app, I use Chronometer and I absolutely love it. Um, Make sure you find the cooked version of the food when you're searching for it. Pre-track your food when you're not stressed or rushed, like the night before. You can scroll to the next day in your food tracking app, plug in all the things you're going to eat from the night before, so that the next day you just eat it. And if looking at the amount of food that you can't eat makes you nervous, just remember you're making these wonderful nutrient dense foods. So by the time you consume everything that you've already pre-logged, think about how you're going to feel. You're going to feel full by the time all of that food is consumed. Just don't rush through and shove it all in your face in the first 20 minutes because then you're going to have a rough day. Start with simple recipes that are easy to punch in because you can build recipes in your app like Chronometer. And when you do this, you want to keep it as simple as physically possible. You don't want to be searching out 517 ingredients. And if you buy the premium version, you actually can, if you and you get the recipe online, you can use the app to just pull all of those ingredients and it'll do it for you, which is actually very, very cool. When you're eating out, find the closest possible food to what you're eating. And if you can't gauge the portion size exactly, use that palm again, right? That's why we've learned this before. One palm is around 20 to 30 grams of protein. So you can kind of gauge um, serving size by that. If you're not working with a coach, the calculator in the app, Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, it works okay. It's a good enough solution, and um, you can always adjust as you go. Just remember, you have to eat. So if it's giving you 1,000 calories, it's not a good calculation. Or your time horizon to lose the weight is not long enough. That's a reasonable goal setting thing that we can talk about later. Um, Before you start trying to make drastic changes, if you are going to log your food, give it 2 weeks of consistently tracking every single thing you eat or drink, every weekend beer, glass of wine, mimosa at brunch, every single thing you eat for 2 weeks, just so you know why you are the way you are. And that's not a judgment. That's literally just saying, like, I am currently at a place where I am not happy with my weight. I would like it to go down. If you track everything you eat without changing anything, then you can go, okay, this is the exact habit and lifestyle that I am living that has led me to be in the body that I'm in. If I don't want to be in this body anymore and I want to change it, there are things from this lifestyle that will have to change. And you have documentation of what that lifestyle numerically looks like. Don't lie to the app. It's not judging you, and neither am I. If you tell me you went out for beers and ate a bunch of French fries and hot dogs and we're working together, I'm your coach, I'm not going to sit there and be like, what is wrong with you? No, that's stupid. Why would I ever make you feel bad about that? It's not going to change what happened. I'm going to go, wow, it sounds like you had a lot of fun. We're right back on the next day. So track everything. There's no point in lying to the app, because if you aren't losing weight and you're not being honest with the app, it's not the app's fault. It's not the tracking's fault. It's the fact that you're not being honest. That being said, it is an awareness tool, not an assessment of your worth. If you are struggling with being honest with the app, maybe the app is not the right solution right now. Okay? It's not you. It may be where you're at in your behavior change journey, but like the app, you don't have to use the app. If it's not the right solution for you, don't keep using it. And the other side of this is the serving size of peanut butter, chips, and there's my little guy. The serving size of chips, peanut butter, cookies is personally insulting. That is a time where I will take it personally when the app tells me that this is how much I can eat, because looking at a serving size of peanut butter and how much I want to put on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is sad. Shed a single tear. So how do you know if this is working? My love. Okay, thank you. Close the door, please. I'm leaving that in. How do we know this is working? You can use the scale. For those who are not scale averse, you can weigh yourself. Do it in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, naked, at the same time every time you do it. That doesn't mean you have to weigh yourself every single day. Just know that you will fluctuate, and the journey down is not a linear journey. So the more data points you have, the smoother the line will look. But if you weigh yourself every Monday morning, that's fine. You can choose an item of clothing that you want to fit into or that you currently wear. It's better to do one that you currently wear and just journal how it feels. Is it snug in specific spots? Is it loose in specific spots? Does it hang off your hips? Can you see your belly button? These are things that they're qualitative things that will genuinely show you that you are making progress in this journey without you ever having to get on the scale. Just, I would say, don't pick something that's like super, super tight that you're going to judge yourself a ton for wearing. Sorry. The last one is the mirror. Now, this is the least trustworthy, as it's going to be really easy to pick yourself apart. You are going to very quickly judge. You might look at yourself, see progress, and then immediately start picking yourself apart. And if you do this, This is the mantra I want you to think about. If you're not going to appreciate it, I'm going to put it away. Your body has done amazing things because you're still here, right? You have lived an incredibly complex life and you are here today thanks to your body. Sometimes it's been frustrating, sometimes it's been super awesome, but your body is, you're still here. So appreciate it for what it's done for you. But if you are somebody who's going to pick apart your body every single time you look in the mirror, don't look in the mirror. It's not worth it. You're not going to have a good time. The other side is aesthetics. Take progress pictures. If you're somebody who wants to measure the aesthetic, but you don't want to pick yourself apart every time, stand in the same bra and underwear or the same pair of boxers, take pictures, and then put them in a locked folder so you just don't have to see them. And then you can look back on them later on once you've finished your journey. All right. It's hard. I understand it. I've been there. Like I wasn't always a coach. I wasn't always, and I've gone through my own fluctuations in weight with my own stomach surgeries and all that stuff, but that's a story for a different day. So I understand the psychological need to look at all of these things and look at them the negative way versus looking at them in a positive light. All right. We are here to enhance ourselves, not necessarily because we are unhappy. Just we want to be a version of ourselves that's healthier. All right. Let's talk about what's next. The 60 days that are coming for you are going to be challenging for different ways, different things, excuse me. And the things that are coming up for you throughout this challenge, they're going to be unique to you. But that's okay. I'm going to be putting resources into this community over the next 60 days to help you navigate this. The first 3 weeks of workouts are already up, right? Coaching online is something I do very sparingly because I want to give you absolutely everything of me that you need to be successful. However, I require a lot of the people I coach online. And that's not to be scary. That's just if you're going to spend the money with me and I'm going to put the time into you, I want us both to be committed to this. I don't want you to be disappointed because you're not in a place to put in big effort, right? It's big effort to go through a real program. And obviously, I'm not like shoving you into a program that is cookie cutter and not tailored for you, but it's going to push you harder than if you were making some of these changes a little bit more gradually. But that's the point of the Sustainable 60 Challenge. And I'm putting more and more of what I do into this community so that you can do this on your own. You can learn the skills that you need to learn so that you can be successful for the long run. And if you decide to work with a coach, you already know yourself so well, you know what you're capable of, and you know that you are capable of succeeding regularly. This masterclass is going to live in the free community for the next 60 days. Then it will be moving to the paid community. So take advantage of this while you can. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I really, truly appreciate you. And I appreciate the opportunity to make an impact on your life. Um, if you loved this, please leave a comment in the Sustainable 60 group chat. If you have more questions, leave it there as well, because we can always